Non-resident Indians, broadly speaking, are those Indian citizens who live and work abroad for extended periods of time. You may live abroad for employment, for business, or as a student, or several other reasons. NRI status brings you many benefits: lower taxation, incentives related to investments in capital markets, incentives on buying and selling of properties, and many other benefits. That is why people want to be non resident Indians. But how do you define a non resident Indian versus a resident Indian? For that, take a test. Let's call that the residency test. And if you test positive, you are a resident. If you do not, you are a non resident. Let's go to the residency test. This test begins with your annual Indian taxable income. Each word is important here, please note. Your annual Indian taxable income, meaning income that arises only in India and which is subject to taxes. This is to say, you shall include only that part of your Indian income which is subject to tax and not include any other part which is tax free. For instance, interest on your NRE deposits is tax free to start with, so you shall not include this interest income in your computation. However, if your dividends are subject to taxes, you shall include them. That's the definition of annual Indian taxable income. Now, let's get back to the residency test. Compute your annual Indian taxable income for the financial year. Check if it is more than or less than 15 lakh Indian rupees. If it is more than 15 lakh rupees, check how many days have you lived in India during the financial year. If it is more than 120 days, you test positive for residency. You are deemed to be a resident from the tax point of view. So, what was that again? Your annual Indian taxable income was more than 15 lakhs and you lived more than 120 days in India, so you tested positive on residency and thus you are a resident from the income tax perspective. But if your annual Indian taxable income is less than 15 lakh Indian rupees and you lived in India for more than 181 days, by the way, this is now 181, not 120 days for less than 15 lakh rupees, you tested positive for residency. This time, income less than 15 lakh and lived in India for more than 181 days, you test positive. You are a resident from the income tax perspective. That was the income and days test, the first test. And that's enough if you've been living abroad on a regular basis, or have traveled to live overseas just last year, or you are a member of crew on a ship. The income tax officer will grant you the NRI status. You do not need to take the second test. But if not, the income tax officer will check if you lived in India for more than 60 days during the financial year and more than 365 days in the preceding 4 financial years. If so, you will have tested positive for residency. If you tested positive on any one of the two tests, the income and days test or the 4-year test, you are a resident. Otherwise, you are a non resident. You are an NRI. Congratulations. In summary, you take the residency test. If you do not test positive, you are a non resident, and that's about it. Was this useful? I hope it was. If you have any questions, send us an email. Our address is questions@nrinotebook.com. Again, that is questions@nrinotebook.com. See you soon.